Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope that 2025 is treating you all well. Today I wanted to talk about some of the things that I did to make the most of my time when I was an English language assistant. So for this video I'm not talking about how to make the most of your free time, but how to actually make the most of the job that you are doing. So I worked in a primary school and I wish to share the things that I learned along the way, the resources I used, and yes, my mindset that helped me to really make the most of the job. With the assistantship, the more you put in, the more you get out of it. For me, I had never worked in a primary school before, and it was a learning curve for me to find out what worked with the kids and what didn't, and I learned as I went along, and these are some of the techniques that have come to mind. I feel that there is perhaps a lot to be said on this topic, but from what I can remember, these are the tips and things that worked the best for me. Firstly, and this is quite important, I would say it's quite crucial to become familiar with the code of conduct at your school, just so you're aware of what's expected of you. There are certain things that are easy to overlook or that you might not think about in the moment. So for example, you want to bring food in for your kids, like some sweets or whatever, but then the other side of that is there might be children in your class with allergies, for example, and so a general rule was that assistants weren't allowed to bring food in for the kids. And yeah, I would have not really thought about that unless I had seen it in the code of conduct. And so yeah, whilst there are some things that you probably think, oh, this is obvious, there are some things that aren't that obvious, so that's why I think it's really important to just know what is permitted and not permitted and what is expected of you, just so yeah, you're quite clear like going into the role from the beginning. So the next piece of advice that I have is quite important actually, but it is easy to overlook, and that is to develop good working relationships with the teachers that you are working with on a daily or weekly basis. So essentially, as an English language assistant or ELA, you will be helping the main teacher of the classes that you are in to develop the English proficiency of the children in your class. And one way that I tried to develop these working relationships was to show that I was organised. And when I first started, I asked the teachers that were on my timetable that I was given if I could please have their numbers, and they said yes, but for you that they might prefer email. It's good just to have a form of contact. And every Sunday I would ask the teachers if there were any resources that they would like me to prepare for the following week. Sometimes they said, yes, please could you prepare a PowerPoint about X, or please could you prepare a speaking worksheet about Y, and sometimes they said, nope, we don't need anything for this week, thank you. And this will help to organise you for the following week, to know what is expected of you and what is to come. Following on from this, I would also recommend that you dedicate a specific time or a time of day, perhaps once or twice a week, where you actually create the resources. So for me, this was a Sunday afternoon or a Sunday evening, and to make it a habit so that you're regularly putting in the time to do that little bit of work outside that the teachers may expect you to do. I would also recommend getting to know the other teachers outside of the classroom, so trying to talk to them in the staff room at break times. It can be a great way to practice your Spanish speaking skills as well, or to get to know the other assistants. So one of the things that worked for me was the resources that I was shown that helped me when I was like working with the kids and the activities that we did. So the first resource that I would recommend is WordWall. This video is not sponsored, but essentially WordWall it's a website where you can research lots of resources, and a lot of these resources can be games of different sorts. So you could have some games that are flashcards, or you press the correct option, and this makes learning quite fun. So as I said in the introduction, I worked in a primary school, and kids at the primary school age, they don't have the longest attention span in comparison of that as an adult. And so sometimes, to consolidate what I had gone over with them, perhaps we'd gone over through a grammatical tense, I would put on a game on WordWall for them. The school that I worked at kind of gave me a tablet to borrow, and yes, I'd put on the games there, and it just was an activity that that they enjoyed, as it wasn't just worksheets all the time, but it provided a more fun and more interactive element as well. Another resource that I like to use were the English worksheets on the British Council website. These were quite useful for when I was teaching the kids a grammatical tense, for example, and I needed an exercise where the kids could apply what they had learnt. And sometimes it's just nice having resources already pre-prepared that are of a high standard that you can use. So yeah, I'd thoroughly recommend checking out the British Council Teach English resources. I can't remember the exact web page or what it was called where you can have access to that, but I'll put it in the description. Another learning resource that I quite like to use was the site Lyrics Training, and essentially it is a website where you can listen to songs, listen to music, and you can get your students to follow the lyrics and fill in a missing word, so it's really good for improving listening skills. I'd say it's a resource that's probably most useful for older students, but I think it's great for showing kids that there's more to learning a language than just grammar. There are songs in different languages, like different countries and cultures have their own music, and so I used to for my younger kids, I used to put Disney songs on Lyrics Training as like a treat, and so they could see their Disney characters that they might have enjoyed in Spanish in English, and that they could see that link as well. I said at the beginning of the video that the assistantship is what you get out of it, and it is essentially a cultural exchange in that the students get to know about you and your culture, but likewise you get to experience the culture of the country that you're in through working at the school. And the more you engage with the students during the classes, the more you show an interest in them and their work, and ask them about whether they like football, just show an interest in them, the more that they'll share an interest in you. And I would also encourage you to go to, maybe the school that you're in will have a day where the kids come in Halloween costumes and they do Halloween based activities, or the school's choir is performing. I would just encourage you to go to those days if you can. I unfortunately wasn't able to see my local school choir perform, as I had a TIE appointment on that day, but yes, I would just recommend that learning a language should be fun, and some of the things that they enjoy, like maybe watching films or TV shows or music. They can also be in English or other languages. As I said, it's just not about it's not always about learning new vocabulary and learning like complex grammatical structures. And that's everything, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you found this video useful, or that it has given you some ideas for how you could make the most of your role. I can appreciate that some of you might be working in secondary schools, so some of what I've said might not be applicable, but that I've given you some useful ideas of what you can do. Either way, you should really be familiar with your school's code of conduct. But that aside, I think a great way of summing up everything that I've said is that the more you engage with the role, the more you make an effort, the more you will get out of being an ELA. Okay, thank you again for watching, and I hope that you have a great rest of your day wherever you are.